for Earth Month, we're keeping it on brand with some sustainability discussions. Each month, the FNS Diversity and Inclusion Committee hosts speakers from around the campus community to share their stories. Today, we have guest speaker Mark Alexander to discuss YMCA side of sustainable operations, and then later I'll be touching on how FNS contributes to this program. So, Mark, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you to start us off.
I thought it would be useful just to start with a brief background of this program, how it started, what its goals are, and how we've gotten to where we are today. So we'll start with a little background here. So the core components of this program are, its first main component is a sustainability program. The whole idea is to take usable goods that people are throwing away or would throw away, and then they repurpose it to the homes of others. So it saves an estimated 30 tons of waste from landfills each year. It includes a May portion, which involves collecting from students as they move out of housing and taking goods that they would otherwise toss. And then an August portion, which is community collections. Daphne manages the May part. I now manage the August part through the Y. It also provides opportunities for volunteer service, students that need hours for scholarship for volunteering, or people in the community that are looking for something to do if they're retired or need employee workday, those types of things. And then in August, it all culminates with a big sale where students over moving weekend can come back to campus and purchase very low cost items. And it helps support students as well as people in the community who might need something a little cheaper, as well as going back to that first part about keeping things out of our landfills. And then it largely funds itself. The proceeds for the sale basically cover the cost of the program and the staff time that goes into it. Anything residual goes directly into our programs here at the Y, and a portion goes to our directly to our students for them to do with what they want with their initiatives. It all began about a little over 20 years ago, 2001, where it was literally just the yard sale on the front lawn of the Y. It's at its inception, it was a very rare program. Universities had not started these types of programs yet. There were some around, of course, but it was not a common thing. And so it really was kind of a unique in our area at that time. It quickly moved to a larger growth period where in 2012, housing asked the Y to incorporate the residence halls into the program. So prior to that, collections had been community, it had been private certified housing on campus, other areas, but not the actual housing on the official housing on campus itself. So at that point, we began May collections with this huge effort to go to all the different halls on campus. You can see some of the boxes there where students would literally dump their stuff in the lobbies in these boxes. We'd pick it up daily during move out week. They would all go into semi-trailers after being sorted, and then we'd bring it back in August, unpack everything, price it all, and then hold the sale in August. So it was a really, really huge initiative for about 10 years there, which brings us up to the past 5 years or so, where because it was so big, we started to have some struggles on capacity on a staff side. So we began right before COVID talking with the U of I, FNS, housing, other units on how the university could partner more with the program. We had actually worked out a plan to use one of FNS's facilities in 2020 in May to move out of our building here and begin a partnership that was immediately ruined by COVID. So in 2020, we couldn't hold the program. We couldn't do collections in May in 2021 either. And we brought it back in August that year with community collections. And then in 2022, at the Y here, we made the decision that we could no longer continue the May portion. It had just gotten, as student attendance had increased and the amount of stuff we were gathering had increased, we just couldn't handle it on our end. So we pulled out of May, but began talking with FNS on how they could do the May portion, which Daphne will talk about later. And then starting in 2023, housing began doing May collections. Or FNS began doing May collections in housing, and then we continued with the August portion, which I will go into right now. So my role now is in August. I consult with Daphne and work with her a little bit. She primarily handles May, and I primarily handle August. So every year in August now, the way it works is that we hold everything in the U of I Stock Pavilion. We are grateful to the Animal Sciences Department, which allows us usage of their building for this period. People literally drive to the building for about 2 weeks of collections where they drive in, they dump off their stuff. We have volunteers that then unload it all, sort it out what it is. We have distinct areas, electronics and clothing, kitchen, bedding, wall art, books, so on and so forth. We parcel all it in the building. We price everything. We also offer 2 Saturdays of door-to-door pickups where we literally take a truck out in town, people sign up, and we pick up furniture for them if they can't get it to us. So that's like 2 weeks collections throughout which we are continuously sorting and pricing and preparing. And then we have about a week of prep time before the sale. And then the sale happens over moving weekend. It takes a lot of work. I am the only full-time staff person that works on this program at the Y. Other staff chip in as need be, but it's largely a volunteer run program. It's about 1,000 hours most years. We had 121 volunteers last year that worked on it. In comparison, about 12 of our staff put in about 250 hours. So it's a really, without the volunteers, we would not be able to do it with the amount of items that we get and the amount it takes to prep it all for the sale. And then the sale itself, as I said, is always on moving weekend. The whole idea is that it's held on campus. We had looked during our U of I conversations at moving it off campus perhaps, but it really needs to be in an accessible place on campus for students to participate so that when they come back, they have these very low cost, very cheap, affordable goods, many of which are in great shape. Some are brand new, some are a little worse for wear, but it's all usable stuff. Items are typically anywhere from 50 to 75% off of what you would go and pay for in a Target or somewhere else. So it allows them a very low cost opportunity to fill their dorm rooms, fill their apartments, as well as community members who come in as well. It's free to attend for U of I and Parkland students over the 2 days. On Saturdays, it's $4 for anyone else in the community. Knowing that students often don't have transportation, we offer delivery for large items. So we will take trucks and go around town over the sale days and deliver furniture people purchase for, I think it's a $10 fee for most deliveries. And then on Sunday, everyone can come in for free. We give you a bag. It's $3 for anything in that bag. And then whatever's left at 2:30 on Sunday is free because we have to get it all out of the building by the time it's done. In recent years, so last year we had about 3,700 people attend. It's usually several thousand over the couple days of the program. Usually anywhere from half of that to maybe a little less are students coming in for it. We have, freshmen coming in, international students, upperclassmen. I think once people know about it and come, they typically come back most years. It's kind of a if you know sort of thing. And then what's left over is hardly anything most years. These are a couple pictures of last year where the top left is right before the sale. We have the full building, the stock pavilion with all of our things. And then the little pile at the bottom there is what was left over. And there's typically a few things that we toss into a pan dumpster. So out of that 30 tons, a pan dumpster of waste, I think is pretty good. And then recently we have partnered with Salt and Light in town, which is a 365 days a year restore, and they will come and pick up what we have left and take it and then repurpose it there. So the whole idea by the end of it is that we have taken all of these items from our community members, from students, and instead of, again, going into the landfills, they are repurposed. It also keeps items that are in the stream out of it. So like instead of going and buying new hangers, we're reusing hangers. We have so many types of things in this world that we don't need to really make more of. There's plenty of usable ones around that we can repurpose easily. And this helps with that piece of the program. So it is, I started at the Y as a staff member in 2018, but was a volunteer for this program before it as a community member. And actually found out about my current position while I was volunteering. It is, I think, very well known in our community, both campus and outside of it, and remains a really, I think, important piece of the sustainability work we do at the Y, but also sustainability on campus. And then I will turn it over to Daphne to move on to her portion of the program, which is the May that I talked about a little bit earlier.
Thank you, Mark. So I'm Daphne. I work as the campus's zero waste coordinator under facilities and services, and I came into this role at the end of 2022. So really my beginnings started with this program in 2023 in May. So I kind of want to give a little brief overview into, justification for why we work on this program, why it's a priority for us in springtime. And this goes back to the larger mission of our organization, which is emissions reduction and our Illinois Climate Action Plan. So this is our strategic plan for achieving carbon neutrality by 2050 or sooner. Our first edition came out in 2010, and we now update every 5 years. There are many different themes that we cover, and under these themes, we have SMART objectives for each. And then we have a little database that records all of this information, our progress on different projects, and teams that we have linked there. And then we have our Illinois Climate Action Plan teams, which are comprised of students, faculty, and staff. And this is how we strategically identify opportunities to make progress in our given themes. So I am one of the chairs for our Zero Waste team. So another piece of this is we have several different themes under the Zero Waste portion of our Climate Action Plan. But it's more than just recycling. So I'm including a couple of things here. We ground our understanding of zero waste under the Zero Waste International Alliance's definition, which is conservation of all resources in all the different areas. And I like this Annie Leonard's The Story of Stuff picture here, which shows you, what we're working towards. So currently we're under this linear economy of manufacturing, extraction, and then use and disposal. We're making progress in our recycling aspect of our operation, but one day, ideally, we're going to avoid the waste stream entirely. And this program that we have is a huge piece of that stepping stone. So an important part of this for us is measuring our impact. So we have fiscal year data for our targets for landfill waste reduction. You'll notice here there's a bit of a dip in COVID, but we're coming back now to full operations. So we see almost 6,000 tons of landfill waste per year on average, and then roughly 1,500 tons of material diverted through various pathways. Our recycling operation that we run on campus, various reuse programs such as Dump and Run, and then grind energy at our dining halls. So we, in general, achieve a fluctuating 20 to 30% diversion rate. And so what we're challenged with is we have, a limited number of staff, limited amount of hours, limited amount of money, but we need to get the biggest bang for our buck with zero waste programming. So we're trying to align biggest impact with most approachable avenue. And so for us, Dump and Run is a really great way to achieve that. So I see three major areas that we get into when we get into Dump and Run, and Mark has mentioned all of them. It builds donation habits for our community, especially our students here on campus. It reduces our landfill waste, which is a huge goal of my position, the biggest KPI, and it strengthens our community partnerships. So we operate a little bit differently, but we take the same ideas from Mark's program. So for us, this is a 6-day program during spring move-out week, which is always some point in May. So for us this year, it's around mid-May, 12th through 18th. And we target residence hall hotspots on campus. So we have really big shipping containers that we place, 8 of those around residential areas of campus. And this is where we actually do all of our collections for Dump and Run. And then as a piece of this, we work with local nonprofits who come directly to these shipping container locations and then pick up the donations as they're coming in. So it's kind of a flow of materials. We've had several different nonprofits partner with us throughout the years. We've had Goodwill, Salt and Light, as Mark mentioned, Eastern Illinois Food Bank. So these are all, huge champions of what we're doing here, and we appreciate their efforts. So one thing about our program is, so I started in 2023 was our first iteration of this program, and we're now here in 2025 running our third Dump and Run in May. And we're trying to learn as we go and implement new strategies each time. So in 2023, it was sort of a test run, a pilot to see if this would work. In 2024, we broadened out to also collect non-perishable foods. So we worked with a local food bank because traditionally students do have leftovers in their dorms as they're leaving. And then in 2025, we're going to be eventually, I'll touch on this in a second, expanding out to graduate housing as well. So these are some photos just to give you an idea. Those are the shipping containers. We mark and indicate them with some banners that we made a couple years back, just so that way they're more identifiable. And we keep those in their same locations for all 6 days. And this is an example of the type of products that we collect, very similar to YMCA's list of accepted items, get a ton of mini fridges as you'd expect. And then as mentioned, we're always trying to learn and grow strategically with the operations that we're working with. So for this summer in 2025, we have a couple of really big graduate communities a little bit farther away from campus. So you've got to make a drive. And so currently how we're collecting materials, they're not very accessible to these graduate communities. And they also have a different target date. Their leases are up in mid to late July. So we're going to be collecting in some hot spots where we traditionally see a lot of landfill waste. And this is going to be hopefully an exciting thing on par with how much product we collect during the MATE program. Cool. All right. I think we can wrap up. I appreciate the time, Mark.
Yeah, thank you. This is great. I was happy to do it. Thank you all for coming and listening to us share about this awesome program and this great work.